And with me today, I have Dr. Mark Sherwood, who's a naturopathic doctor and he runs a practice with his wife, Dr. Michelle Neal Sherwood, who's a doctor of osteopathy. So they are both powerhouse couple, redefining what it means to live well, age well, and heal naturally. Together, they co-founded the Functional Medical Institute in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a full-time wellness-based medical practice that takes a whole person approach to health, addressing mind, body, and spirit, with a mission to eradicate self-imposed lifestyle-driven diseases and reduce dependence on unnecessary medications. Doctors Mark and Michelle help individuals uncover the root causes of illness and walk the path towards true healing. Their work integrates cutting-edge diagnostics, nutrition, movement, hormone balance, and faith-based lifestyle transformation. They're also the co-authors of multiple number one Amazon best-selling books, including The Quest for Wellness, Fork Your Diet, Surviving the Garden of Eden, The Narrow Road, Peptides Unlocked, and Hormones Unlocked, with their highly anticipated next book, Authentic Longevity, which it might have arrived by now. So their influence extends far beyond medicine. They've produced inspiring faith-based and wellness films, including Fork Your Diet, The Prayer List, and the upcoming Forgotten Fortune. And through their weekly television show, furthermore, their Kingdom Life health products and their expansive online community, they've helped millions reclaim their vitality and purpose. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sherwood. I feel like I could have just gone on. You've
Well,
done
it's
so
it's a,
much.
it's just a pleasure to be here with you. I'm grateful and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Amazing. So, in terms of your book, Authentic Longevity, is that published now?
It's finished, but we're waiting on the time of release. We're targeting more or less the spring
Okay.
of 2020, of course.
Fantastic. That's always good to know. And yes, I am sure we'll be updated if everyone follows you. But anyway, before that, I mean, just by, reading up on you, you and your wife, you've both achieved incredible success in your fields. What was the kind of instigator of all this, and what first inspired you to dedicate your lives to holistic and functional medicine?
Interesting story behind that, and I'll be a little bit brief and kind of give you the highlights. I was a police officer before I became a naturopathic doctor, and interesting how the pathways wind out to a destination that you never intended, right? So, as a police officer, I saw people dying in front of me, and it does affect you. And my last several years, while a police officer, I was in charge of developing a wellness program and they didn't have one. So I had to do my due diligence and investigation and visiting other departments, and I couldn't find one. So I had to
Mm.
learn on my own and make one up. So I did, and it got me into a lot of understanding of what life and environment and emotion and physical health and spiritual health does to the human. And so there was one statistic that I saw that still haunts me to this day. It
Mm.
was that the average police officer, male, 20 years of service, and this was a 50-year statistic that I pulled up, and this is back in the early 2000s, and it was they lived to 66 years of age.
Mm.
And I thought, that's not very long. And then I pulled it up again, current in early 2000s, and it was the same. And I pulled it up about a month ago, and it's still the same. And so that got me started on a pathway to figure out why that was. And then I quickly understood that the why behind that was the same thing was affecting the whole world. It was the poor standard American Western lifestyle, diet, not handling things emotionally, not getting sleep, dependency on medication. And so, much like the movie Forrest Gump, when he kept on running, I
Yeah.
kept on studying and I never stopped. And to this day, I'm still studying. And so that was what led me to this. And people need help, they need guidance, they need to know how to increase health span and decrease sick span.
Wow, amazing. And I just love the fact that you are focusing on whole person healing rather than the conventional symptom management. Was there something that kind of ignited that passion?
Yeah, at the same period of time, I saw my police officer colleagues being on multiple medications, blood pressure medications, sleep medications, diabetic medications. And I watched them, frankly, getting sicker all the time. And then I watched them retire and die. And that whole thing made me realize that that system wasn't working.
Mhm.
And the more I dug into that and looked at prescription drug usage across the country and health trends, I'm talking just statistics that are well available to everybody. It's not just clinician based. I realized that we had been doing it what appeared to be wrong for a long, long time, and it never was getting better. And I thought to myself, if I repeat what I'm seeing, I'm really continuing to prove Einstein's theory of insanity was the same, expecting a different result by doing the same thing. And
Mm.
so I realized I'm not anti-medicine, nor is my wife, but we realized that dependence upon medicine, over reliance on medicine is a mistake because it takes the dependence on health as we can do it ourselves, our responsibility, our opportunity, it really takes it away from us.
It does, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I fully agree with that. And you do talk about eradicating self-imposed choice-driven disease. What does that actually mean, and how can people start taking ownership of their own health?
I would estimate, Anu, that probably 95% of all disease processes today are
Mm,
based on choices we make.
yeah.
We don't need to choose disease. We can choose to be healthy, but the choice is ours. It's not making someone to do it. It's not forcing someone to make a choice. It's giving someone the information and allowing them to make the choice. Today, the information is not fully disclosed. It's not out there. It's not talked about in mainstream at all. It's getting better, and I'm grateful, but it's simply not out there. When you go to the typical conventional doctor, they're not going to talk to you about diet and sleep and rest. They
Mm,
may mention something about losing weight in passing, but they don't have any idea how to do that or why that is.
mm,
So when you look at the whole process of choices we make, I look at it like when people willingly make poor choices, when they know they're poor choices, they're really deciding that they want elongated, choice-driven suicide. And that's their choice. It makes me sad, but
mm,
that is their choice. Because you look at the Western diet, Western lifestyle, and just the things we do. And I'm not talking just in America, I'm talking worldwide as the world's becoming more westernized in different areas of the world. It's resulting in the same
mm.
more sickness, more disease, more medication dependency. And if people got a hold of that and realized that the person that I can change is the person staring at me back in the mirror, that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I fully agree with that. And wow, I do feel like the world's waking up. I don't know. What have you found from your years of experience? Do you find there's a big difference now with people now actually taking action and being the CEOs of their health?
The decibel level of the talk of that kind of stuff right now is at a level I've never heard before. And
Wow.
I'm very pleased and happy with that.
Mm,
We're a long way to go because you're talking about it's a very much of a minority group,
okay.
but it is about the people. And if the people will bond together for a cause
Mm,
based upon, love of self, love of your neighbor, and just stand together in this, the more noise the people make, the more economies will adjust.
yeah.
And you're starting to see that right now. I mean, there are health foods out there now, uh, healthier alternatives out there now that weren't there 10 years ago, that
Mhm.
weren't there 5 years ago. There are people out there in my line of work that are popping up everywhere trying to get started and trying to do things. And I think it's great. I think it's super encouraging. And my hope is that the momentum will continue.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. And by you sharing your knowledge and wisdom, it's obviously helping with that. So yeah, please do continue.
Yeah.
So what role does mindset and emotional health play in physical healing?
That is a massive area because I'll use an analogy based upon real examples that people relate to.
Okay.
What we say repetitively, verbal repetitive patterns are things that are learned over time and practice over time. They'll become repetitive. For example, I could say things like, I'm never going to find a wife.
Mm,
Say things like that. I could say things like, I'm never going to get well, or I'm always sick, or I can't get a break. I never can get rid of this pain. I
mm,
can't stay on a diet.
wow.
And then we progress those things to where it becomes this. Well, because of my type 2 diabetes, I have to take insulin. Because of autoimmune disease, I can't do this.
Mm,
And those patterns continue over time. And the more you solidify those patterns in your life, they become predictors of prophecy and actualities in your life. Now, let's flip the script and go backwards. Let's realize that the emotional self can get trained by what we say,
mm,
because our feelings or emotions will typically follow what actions we take or what we allow into us, on us, through us, and by us. And if we turn it around and we say, you know what? I'm living a life conducive with healthy blood sugar.
mm,
I'm living a life conducive where I cannot gain excessive fat tissue. I
mm,
work out every day. I make time to move because I don't have time not to. I've got to get my sleep, and I do every night because it's really important to me because I have to recover, and I do recover well.
yeah.
I don't live a life with perpetual negative excuses. I
Mhm,
find a way. And see, those type of statements affect our emotional self,
mhm,
because when you get into this hyper cortisol mode, it will further decay your immune system's ability to even fight, and you become sicker.
yeah.
You
Okay.
know, and so I go back to the infamous COVID time when
Mm,
people could not, be around other people.
mm,
Emotions went their own directions. People got very negative. They got hopeless because when's it going to end? And what am I going to do? And then once you start doing that, our behavior systems become more negative. We start just grabbing something to put in our mouth to make us feel better for just that much.
okay.
Even though it might hurt us, it might be killing us, we got pain free even for 15 minutes. So
Mm,
you can't blame people once they go there because it's a pattern. So that was a long answer to a short question, but I think it's very important that we really understand all the dynamics of that.
absolutely. Yeah. Mindset shift is huge. Yeah. So, in terms of the work that you're doing right now, how, like for those who may be new to functional medicine as well, how does that actually differ from traditional healthcare?
When you look at traditional healthcare, you go in and the staff is going to ask you what symptoms you have.
Mm,
And they're probably going to know that because that was required to make an appointment.
yeah.
But once you design those symptoms out there, there's more of an algorithmic thinking of what medication am I going to take in response to these symptoms to get the symptoms managed or reduced. And that's all it is. So it's a systems based, symptom based design.
Mhm.
And that's as far as it goes. The question is never asked, or the remedy is never given as to what caused the symptoms and what can I do to prevent the symptoms. So when you look at the more holistic or functional care, and even what we do, we look upstream and we determine, well, what caused those symptoms? What
Mm,
went wrong up here in the functionality of the body, and in what area or what areas went wrong? What do I need to understand? What do I need to change? What can be done so that the symptomatology down here goes away, the functionality up here becomes optimal, and therefore medication need becomes irrelevant and diagnoses become irrelevant because you're not looking at that. You're looking at how can I make, for example, the system of the human anew. How can I make that better? And
mm,
how can I make that optimal? So that becomes the entire functionality. So it doesn't disregard symptoms and it doesn't disregard medicine if needed, but
mm.
it puts it, in my opinion, strongly in the proper position.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And so, are there any common patterns that you're currently seeing when it comes to stress, inflammation, chronic illnesses?
Yes. When you look at chronic stress, we know we kick out, first of all, from our adrenals, adrenaline, which is short lived, and then it becomes eventually cortisol, which is longer acting to deal with an emergency.
Mm,
Our adrenals response to the stress, thing we have is very normal for survival. It's designed that way. But I'm going to shift the idea of stress right now. And then if the listeners right now will get this one thing of what we're talking about today, and you allow this to be permanent or become resident in your life regarding stress, this will change your life. This one moment right now.
Mhm.
Stress is not a noun. It
Mhm.
never was.
No.
It has been defined as a noun and used as a noun in language, but it is not a noun because it's not defined as a person, place, or thing that you can put in a bucket or define. You could ask someone, what is stress? And you're going to get a variety of answers because it's not a noun.
Mhm.
Therefore, if stress is not a noun, what is it? What's the verb? Because the real definition of stress is this, Anu. It is what we do, what we say, how we perceive a situation that is expected or unexpected in our lives. So it's really a decision we make in response to something else. For example, we've all been in a traffic jam that caused us to be late for something.
Mhm.
No matter how angry you get, you can't move that traffic. No matter how many times you might hit your steering wheel, you can't move the traffic. No matter how many times you may raise your voice, your blood pressure goes up, you can't move the traffic. But you can decide that that might be a time where you're supposed to be quiet and just listen, maybe to the silence, which is a golden sound from time to time. I like the quiet and I
Yeah.
don't mind that. But the decision to be angry, i.e., stressful, cortisol driven,
Mm.
or relaxing is mine. Therefore, back to the definition, stress is an action you take in response to life's expected or unexpected occurrences. It is a verb. And if we take that statement and make it real in our lives, it will change our response all the way around.
Amazing. Wow. Yes, I love that. And you're also often called the original biohackers. So what are the actual core principles of authentic longevity that help people not just live longer, but better?
We look at the entire systems of the body. We take biology, anatomy, biochemistry, physiology, um, the musculoskeletal properties, exercise trends, emotional trends, sleep trends, hormones, peptides, proper testing. We
Mm.
put all that together under the context of a unique personal approach to this human. To me, that's real. And that creates the idea of longevity. So we talk about all that with
Mm.
every single person we deal with to put ownership of health back in their hands, to let them make the decision. And we form the plan together, the roadmap to this thing called longevity. And for us, Anu, the longevity is not just living longer, because that's not solving the problem. It's
Mm.
increasing what I call health span and decreasing sick span. And hopefully, in the time of our lives, we're not adding just years, but we're adding life in the years. And
Mm.
so it's a unique process. And you mentioned our book. That book, literally, we poured our whole lives into that book with the idea of it being a legacy book. In other words, a edition one, edition two, as time goes on, as we're here, and we hope that people get that mindset that they can achieve a good amount of decency of health and longevity under that definition by just really stepping back and owning all these areas.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And are there any lifestyle habits which make the biggest difference in aging gracefully and energetically?
They do. And what we do with our body, what we do with our mind, what we say with our mouth, what we allow to be seen by our eyes, what we allow to be heard by our ears, what we allow to be put into our thoughts and received into our hearts, those all matter.
Mm.
And we have to guard those gates, if you will. And if we guard those gates, and if you pardon the play on words, put a little border security about on it, and make sure that we secure those things and
Mm.
not let any old thing in, man, we will do better as people. And I believe that everybody has that potential in them. I do. I really, really do. And I think they just need a little encouragement, a little maybe someone to walk beside them along the way.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think are the biggest mistakes that people are making right now with their health?
Yeah, I think most people's mistakes are probably go back to what you said earlier, maybe a mindset that they can't get better
Yeah.
because no one's ever shown them a way.
Mm.
Like I'm never going to get better. I don't know what to do. And I think confusion is out there as well. So it's
Yeah.
not just shifting. It's really discernment about what is a sales pitch, what is real,
True.
and we don't even tell people to do dieting. As a matter of fact, we tell people, here's your list of foods, and we want to make it anti-inflammatory. And we don't care how much you eat,
Yeah.
and don't let food control them. I think that's in their angle as well, and
Mm.
and probably another area that really has got people off course is you become like who you hang around and who you listen to.
True.
We have to really pay attention anew to who we hang around, the friends, the people that have influence in our lives, because we need to lead. And if you think about this as a human being, nobody leads anew, nobody leads Mark
Mm.
like Mark can do. And so I think, those principles really matter. We've got to get some real understanding and control over those.
Absolutely, yeah. And you're also big on faith, aren't you? And I'm always dead, positive when it comes to everyone having a faith because I just feel like it transforms you. So what kind of impact has this had on yourself and your relationships, connection with your clients, and even your own health?
Well, I believe that, and I think most people would probably agree that we somehow were created.
Mm,
I look at people and I'm like, man, there's no way that just happened by accident, you
yeah.
know, and I think it's divine in nature.
Mm,
I believe in God myself, and some people may not, and that's their prerogative. But I think faith is something that you learn, are shown, and is revealed when you search for truth.
yeah. Mm,
And like, there's nothing wrong with saying out loud, man, why am I here? How was I created? This is wild. And there's nothing wrong with having discussion about that. And I believe in those discussions and that interaction, just looking around at nature. I mean, even like your background, they're looking at those trees and the view. I mean, come on, who made those colors? How was that? I mean,
yeah.
it's a sense of wonder and awe, I suppose. And faith yields the understanding of the essence of who you are.
Mm,
Everyone would understand this, that you've been in a place and time before I knew where you're like, man, that little voice inside you said, I probably don't need to go down that dark alley. Or
mm.
I probably should just stay right here. Or that's not, I don't really have a warm and fuzzy feeling about that.
Yeah.
It's the essence of who you are,
Yeah.
that thing that's inside you. And I always tell people to explore that more and understand that more and ask a lot of questions. And, for me, if I didn't have some hope like that, I don't really know what would keep me going
Mm,
because the world is a really uncertain place. There's a lot of hate there, man. I mean, it really is. And there's a lot of bad things happen, a lot of evil. How
yeah.
do you um, sight of
Mm.
something beyond that? Well, it's about hope that's probably born out of faith.
Absolutely. Wow. That's such an important message. Thank you for sharing that. And so, how about your relationship with your wife? I mean, the fact that, you're not just business partners, but life partners. How do you actually balance your relationship, your mission, your wellness routines? Because a lot of people, they struggle, don't they, when it comes to their relationship and mixing business with pleasure?
Yeah, it's fascinating with my wife, Dr. Michelle. She's really my best friend.
Mm,
We we met, and it was an interesting time in both of our lives. She had been kicked out of medicine. I mean, she got fired, and I was in the school, journeying around, and I had a job as a health educator for physicians to mix in supplementation into their practices. So I actually came calling on her as a sales call, and we met, and I saw something different in her. And when we I stuck my hand out to shake her hand, to say, thank you for your time. Her maiden name is Neil. Thank you for your time, Dr. Neil. And I couldn't let go of her hand. It was wild, man. And so, people were there, like, they saw the awkward moment. And so, we really have been best friends ever since. We do enjoy working together. We enjoy discussing business together. And I think people appreciate that. I'm in my office right now, but, our offices are just 15 feet away from each other, and we see each other all day long, every day, every night, and we travel together and work out together. And so she's really the primary person I'm with, but we truly enjoy that, and it's not abnormal for us. I know it seems abnormal for other people to see, but I do think that it is something that I've observed and listened to people that have seen the interaction and seen kind of how we do things, that's been encouraging to them in their own relationships. And it's been encouraging them that are not in a relationship to look for a relationship that sort of can model that type of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do feel like sometimes you have to be in a few relationships to really understand what it is that you truly need. And we
Yeah.
grow, we evolve, we change. And so to be stuck in the relationship that with a person that you met when you were 18, if you're not growing together, then I guess it's just asking yourself that question, are you really happy? But a lot of people won't because they're scared of change.
I think you nailed it right there with scared of change. That affects everything we do with health, whether it be
Mm,
emotional, physical, or relational, doesn't it? Right. And so we settle
yeah.
for stuff that shouldn't be right. And I've told people before the choices you make with a partner, a companion, someone you date, or certainly marry, or whatever the case may be,
Mm,
um, those decisions you make can affect you in the future, and you want to make them right. And if you find out one day that, like, that this is not leading me down a pathway of any victories, it's miserable,
mm,
then you need to make the step to exit that now. By waste one more day, because you're actually hurting them more as well than
yeah.
yourself, because you're putting them in a place that they don't need to be either.
Yeah.
And when you're occupied over here in situations, whether it be with physical, emotional, relational, it's keeping you from places you need to be.
Mm,
And so, well, I didn't learn that till it was in my 40s,
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
and my wife didn't learn that till she was in her 40s. And you mentioned it and you very correctly that sometimes lessons in life are
Mm,
hard,
yeah.
but thankfully we can learn those lessons. And sometimes they take a few times of testing where we fail to learn those lessons.
Exactly. Yeah. But, like you said, as long as we get there in the end, and the same applies to our health. And
Right.
actually, when you said that as well, I just thought about many people now around us who are currently taking medication. They're basically stuck on medication for whatever conditions they may have. And I know in the UK and I think in the States as well, antidepressants seem to be the majority of that. So for people who are currently stuck or unwell, and what would you say would be a way for them to eliminate the unnecessary medication safely and effectively under proper guidance?
Yeah, I think you said the key word unnecessary, because there's some medications, like if you have an autoimmune disease like type 1 diabetes, you need to be taking insulin because it can save your life. I think people need to know that.
Mm,
But let's just take a couple of medications like that are common. Blood
mm,
sugar medications, like something like a metformin. Blood pressure medication, something like lisinopril. And again, I'm not knocking metformin, I'm not knocking lisinopril, but let's look at the conditions. People have been told, for example, one, metformin, you take that for blood sugar issues because you're pre-diabetic or diabetic.
mm,
Well, the statement I would say to someone is to ask yourself the question, why am I diabetic? Now, your doctor may come back and say, well, you got bad genes. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's not true. The genes don't create disease. I've worked with genes for, 15 years. They don't create disease for the most part.
mm,
It is our behaviors. So in that situation, to that someone, you can change your diet. You can create a situation where your blood sugar is normal and there's a necessity for the medication.
mm,
And then you have to take the medication off because your blood sugar can be too low
mm,
by the medication. The same is true with blood pressure medication. Why are my vascular systems stiff? Why is my vasculature not creating nitric oxide where I can get my vasodilation effect properly? Why is that happening? If you go back and fix that, which most of the time it's the Western diet that can fix that, and get some exercise and get some sleep, then you can restore functionality of those vessels. And there are some things you can add, of course, from a natural standpoint. But once you restore functionality of the vessels, you have to get off that blood pressure medication because it's going to push it too low, causing you to get dizzy when you stand up and fall down. And so there are ways to do this. We just have to get our mindset right. And I'm not knocking the doctors that prescribe. I mean, they're doing what they're told to do. They're doing what they're trained to do, and that's what they're trained to do. They
Yeah.
do it well.
Yeah.
But their job is not structured to get you off medication. Their
Mm.
job is to prescribe medication. That is it. And we've got to get our mindset around that that's not what they're trained to do to get you off that. They're trained to manage it.
Mm.
And to learn to get people off of that is not taught in school. It's just not. It's something you have to go out and use the common sense principles we talked about today and put those into practice. You can do really well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. So, for somebody feeling stuck or unwell, what is one daily habit you swear by to create lasting change?
Well, most people get stuck in the diet situation. I just see that, especially this time of year. One thing I tell people to do is one time a day, that one meal a day, make it right.
Mm.
Whether it be drink a shake, eat a salad, one meal, start one time, one place. And I always try to start in one place in a couple different areas. Anu, one meal a day. Start right there. I'm not worried about two, three, four. Start there. Number two, get your tennis shoes on and just walk around the block one time a day.
Mm.
That's it. And then, believe it or not, the other thing I do, number three, is take 1 minute a day, 60 seconds, 1 minute of your 1,440 minutes a day, 60 seconds, and just be quiet. Go
Mm.
somewhere quiet, no dogs, no phone, no radio, no husband, no wife, no kids, no one. Just be quiet. So we talked about one meal, one walk, and 1 minute. It's not that hard, but people do those things right, and it costs zero for any of those. And I think that's a key thing, and it yields massive benefits and return on investment.
Wow, it does. Yeah, I'm always into micro, like the micro habits that we instill into our daily lives. They're the ones
Yep,
that create lasting change.
they do.
Definitely. So let's talk about the amazing books and films that you've published. So first let's talk about your films. So how, like from your experience, how does storytelling and entertainment help you to spread the message of healing?
When I communicate with people
Mm.
in my office or online, we have clients all around the world and have been around the world. I am making a mistake if I can't communicate the meaning of what I'm trying to say in a story that they can understand,
Mm.
much like a parable. It's a story. When I talk about the vasculature of the body, I talk about the tube that has blood flowing through it. When I talk about the detox system, I have a story. I've even used a few stories today in our interview time. But stories are important because stories stick with people. People remember a good story. And I realize it's not just a story of health, but it's bigger than that. It's a story of inspiration to believe that you can overcome.
Mm.
Every single film project we've done, there's been some big ones, have an inspirational component about it.
Mm.
One movie we did called Wealthy Soul, which is out there now, was about the homeless plight on what brought a person to that place. Real story, what brought a person there and how did they get out of that? And it's an inspiring story.
Yeah.
You look at the movie that we have, it's going to be released sometime in 2026, Forgotten Fortune. It's a story of a guy with Alzheimer's and how
Mm.
he's learned to deal with that and love him through that. And it's a story in my wife's story, The Prayer List, which is an amazing story. It's a story of redemption and coming back after getting knocked down, coming back after getting abused, and restoring a life that means something. So all of our stories matter. And I realize too that the longer I live, I can write books, and we're good writers. People can read those books, but they have to pick up that book to read it, or maybe turn on the audio to listen to that.
Yeah.
But when they go to watch a movie or a story like that, for that hour and a half, they are encapsulated
Mm.
within that story. And they can actually escape their own mind for just that window of time because they're not talking. They are being pulled into the story if the story is correct. So that's been our vision for those things. And, you know, we're going to continue to do that as we can. And it's a lot of work. It's not like we're not busy, but it's like we believe in storytelling in
Mm,
every single part of our life simply because that helps communicate a message more strongly.
absolutely. Yeah. And so how about your upcoming book, Authentic Longevity? That sounds exciting. And are there any new insights that readers can expect from this?
Yes, we poured everything we know up to right now in there, and again, more to come, I'm sure, because we're not through learning. I've realized that the more I live, the more I don't know, which is a good thing. But in Authentic Longevity, there is 14 different chapters in that book, and it connects everything we've talked about today: physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual health. And it connects all those dots, the interconnectivity of those systems of body, and how we are really holistic in nature.
Mm,
And through that process, we've given people tools in every single area: nutrition, sleep, supplementation, stress management, again, exercise. We talk about hormones, peptides, genetics. We talk about molecular hydrogen water. We talk about the various tests you can do. And it's a lot, but people can actually take those sections apart and actually apply those sections each if you wish. We're also, I guess I could say this too, we're coming up with a course that's going to be a certified authentic longevity educator. And so we're going to use that as the base, and we're going to have a certification course up there, not to do anything other than to train people up to be good storytellers and good deliverers of a message for the world.
beautiful. Thank you. And so, what legacy do you hope to leave through your work at the Functional Medical Institute and beyond?
You know, I've been asked that question before,
Mm,
and I've thought about the best answer I could give. And the best answer I give is truly from my heart in the sense that I want people to know that I gave my best,
mm,
that that I did not leave anything on the table,
mm,
that I told the truth and really try to lead people on a pathway where they could experience the best health and healing.
mm. Beautiful. Wow, thank you. And so, how can my listeners and my followers work with you, find you, connect with you, find out more about you?
Super easy. You can go to my website. It's drmarksherwood.com, DrMarkSherwood. There's no dot there. It's just drmarksherwood.com. And it gives various things people can connect with us for free. If you want to click on the clinic, there's ways you can connect with us. And again, I appreciate you and New so much for finding the opportunity to be on with you and have a great discussion with you.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you on, and the time just flies when you're having such deep and insightful conversations. I really do appreciate your time as well because I know how busy you are. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure. And I really hope the information today is helpful for people.
Yeah, oh, it absolutely will be. And so, everyone, if this episode's been valuable to you, please do give us a shout and connect with Dr. Sherwood. He'd be absolutely honored to hear from you all. And I will be leaving all the links in this episode. I hope you found today's episode very insightful because I know I sure did. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next show. Stay blessed and here's to great health, my friends.